who's going to backstab me. You cannot be a captain that is always worried about who's going to backstab you. Solve the problem. I'm going to show you a video of a session that we did. It's a small video, a session that we did with a team building facilitation. Can you please go next? It's of a school. The principal is in the room. And next, thank you. So this is what happens in the room.
A ti, pero te quiero a ti, te quiero a ti, a ti, a ti, a ti, a ti, te quiero a ti, te quiero a ti, a ti, a ti, a ti, pero te quiero a ti, te quiero a ti, a ti, a ti, a ti, a ti.
So the frustration comes out what they are supposed to do. And when a reaction comes out of a leader, any frustration, where now instead of admitting, I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. Also, a leader, why offense? But had you done what you were supposed to do, the leader wouldn't be frustrated. They would cry. Because it's not that the time like the we're going to try like a hang of Friday. Get this thing, house of God. Why? How on Friday morning, how principal are about comments on the physical? Why? How is Omanya?
Develop an attitude.
We develop an attitude. We're not pursuing it. It's never your fault. What do we understand communication to be? For some people, communicate, but did you listen? In most cases, some of us are very weak at this. You've seen that before, am I right? I'm good at telling people, but I don't want to be told. Here come bad news. So, we can chapel matzo, please. The most important thing that I haven't spoken about is this. Each and every one of us, we are heavy, right? Because of stress. In that room, I get into your heart and I release that weight. I get into all these issues that you don't even know. You don't know. You know you have pain. You know you can't sleep well. You know you're always stressed. I get into your heart and I release that pain. Because that's the one thing that most of us in this room don't know how to get rid of. There's a session that I call negative emotional therapy, which I believe every professional needs. Because all you're doing is tackling problems. But who tackles your problems? When you call me to come to your school, I promise you one thing. Number one, the people in your team will be giving you genuine smiles. Targets. You will meet all those targets. All of them. Because I will fix the individual, The individual will learn how to work as a team, and the team will do everything it takes to get to the mission. Lebitso la ka ke Fana Fikile Lephaga. Thank you very much for giving me your time. I know you have a long program. If you want to know more about what we do, I'm still around. Please speak to me after the break or even after the session. I'm very happy that I was given this platform. This is a very big platform for me. I'm glad that I'm here. But thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lephaga. We can give him big round of applause again. Let me not waste time. I'm looking for Comrade Briggs. I cannot see him. Okay. Can we sing just a short song while we are waiting for Comrade Briggs to come and introduce our next speaker? Oh, here he comes. This is the Provincial Secretary of Sadtu in the Free State. Ke Comrade Mogolwane Moloi. Ho ba sa mtsebeng. Can we give him a round of applause? Our next speaker.
Sadtu setanda jige lele jigelele. Sadtu setanda jigelele jigelele. Jigelele, 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 jigelele.
Amandla. Thank you very much, Comrade. Let me take this opportunity to introduce our next speaker. The profile is very, very brief, Comrade. We try to summarize it and cutting all the positions that he held in the organization from the level of the site up to the level of the General Secretary. Safe to indicate that he's a member of EI Executive Board, Africa Regional Seat. He's also serving in the EIRAF Executive Committee and Vice President. Of course, it's a known fact that he's a Vice President of Education International, which represents more than 32 million teachers and education support personnel around the world. He served as the Deputy Chairperson of Global Campaign for Education and has served as a convener of the Commonwealth Teacher Group Executive Committee. He served in the National Education Collaboration Trust, that is NECT, in the country, and served as a member of the Federation, COSATU Central Executive Committee. His political roles include an executive position in the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party and a member of the African National Congress Standing Committee on Education and Health, a member of the ANC Veteran League of Ward 98, the co-publisher of no less than 4 educational articles as part of the decolonization of education system. This is a brief, Comrade General Secretary. We try to summarize it, otherwise we will be here for too long and the time for commission will be taken up. Thank you, comrades. Let's welcome our General Secretary, Comrade Mugwena Malilega, to address.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
All power. All power. Long live Sadtu, long live. Long live for Sadtu, long live. Long live the ACC. Comrade Chair and Program Director for the day, allow me to recognize the Chair of our province, but also allow me to also recognize in absentia the member of the Executive Committee of the Free State and the member of the Executive Committee present, Mary Metcalf, if she's still around, but I know she was here. If she's not here, let me also acknowledge Chairperson. Let me also, all the leaders making noise today. So we also want to recognize the Chief Executive Officer, former leader of Sadtu, Comrade Nxesi, who Ndatele Park, Mutiatla Kalang Hutamalu and Atabe, Alele Puna Puna, ki Chairperson. Ya province. I le mungodi na ana we oban mungodu reporter onna. Hakna umdumela chair horae ko. Klara Chairperson na khutla aba re bolella hore o tsamaile jwang. Ebe ke saena tumello eo ya hore le mungodi a kaya. A o joina tabeng tsena tsa hao morenaka. Re a o leboha. O leboha haholo. Re o lakaletsa mahlono le morenaka. Mosebetsi o etsang o motle haholo. Re a o leboha. Let me also realize and acknowledge Dr. Moloi, Mr. Munsu, and our Chief Executive. I think I have recognized them, all of them. So leaders, yeah, they have been recognized. I think so. Thank you so much, Chair. I have been here since this morning. We have had meetings today, so voice is a very hoarse. I'm just coming from a very serious sick bed. So when Moloi says come, you just wake up from bed and come. But the meetings were about pearls, and everybody is worried about pearls. So we come from that meeting and many other meetings that are still taking place. But we felt that on behalf of the National Working Committee and our President and our National Executive Committee, we should honor all our principal seminar around the country, because first and foremost, myself, having served as a principal, the first task that I would want to ask all the principals, and which I'm not hiding even in the NEC. I am saying recruiter number 1 for Sadtu is the principal. So I'm here to acknowledge your work that you are doing to recruit. Our target is to be 300 by the end of this year. We are at 270,000 members, and we want to be at 300 because it is only power that you have in your hands that you can make changes, whether it's curriculum, management, or it's labor condition, or it's the violence in our schools. We need to be able to have the power to deal with that. So thank you so much for really attending this important gathering where you will then be reflecting on these issues of pearls and many other issues that you are confronted with at the level of the school. But let me give you my view around the outcome of pearls. I think it's fine to compete or to participate at international benchmarking forums like your teams, your pearls, and many others. I think it's fine. Okay, that's my view. I think it's fine. But we must not be despaired by what the media is reporting about the fact that our children cannot read with meaning. The struggle continues, comrade. When a government is run by an African person, you never lack enemies. You never lack them. You don't have to look around for them. And they will make sure that this message that they have distorted ever since the results were released will be alive until the election in 2024. And that is the purpose of the narrative that says, are the teachers not destroying our children? The answer is no. These teachers are doing their best. They're doing everything they can in a country that is still experiencing so much inequality. You see, the research tells us that a book at home is more important for any nation to develop, and you can only find a book at home to a family that has got opportunities and privileges to be able to have that. Almost 80% of our children coming from the township school, coming from the rural schools, will not have a book at home. So research tells us a book at school and a reader for each and every learner will make a difference. But the children are sharing these particular readers, and obviously they cannot every day take it home because they need to share with others. I had a friend when we were at the college, we were sharing an art textbook, Comrade Ledim. And we were writing examination on a Monday, and this friend of mine left for home on Friday, so I'm expected to have the book on a Sunday, and I'm writing art on Monday. And he never came back. He never came back. And the way I was afraid of art, I just decided to be absent from examinations. And then I then knew that there will be a SAP in January, then I will have had that book and write that particular thing. But I served with him. He was my cultural convener as I was the president of the SRC. So I asked him why he did that. He says, no, I was also absent in the examination. I pledged solidarity with you. So today I want to talk about solidarity. So we pledge solidarity, which tells us that if you have a book at home, you have a book at school, you will be able to improve that. Now I come from a family of people who work. They say you draw a line, it's R. Then you draw a line, R here. So we have, this is the only book you have at the farm school. But you will never have it to take it back home. But at least we were writing somewhere on a slate. And that slate says black. So we'll have. You need a community that cares about our children. You need a community that loves education. And that's what you need. Because I want to ask a question. Maybe I must ask, but ngesixhosa. Jwale he pele ke tla qala ho bua ke ne ke re matshwafo a tlase hobane le a sebetsa re batla hore re sebetse ka thata ha hona mathata. Naha ya Africa, out of Africa, few countries took part in that. Few countries, all of them are. Is it on? Say quiet in that. All the African countries are at the Finland, because there's no way you will not find Finland there. You'll find Finland there. Obviously, you'll find the Scandinavian countries will be there. Okay? You'll find them there at the top. But us exactly understand that comprehension about octopus. Because if I were asked, Joyce does not even know it himself, Kastwan, or octopus Kate, this to the public, knowing very well that the media does not belong to us. The media is part of a machine. So the department, Babokat, you must have a champion. When these type of things happen, you need to know that you have academics in this country, intellectuals in this country, that they will be able to communicate and give context, educate the public to then say, we are not failing our children. Even if COVID has impacted on us, we still were able to say we are going to participate. Despite all the inequalities, we are always going to be participating. So to me, it is that we must just continue to do our work as we are doing, and then the department must find champions like Comrade Mary Metcalf, who had written a very wonderful article educating the public. And somebody that I never expected that will write so positively was Professor Gustav. You know him, Comrade Kat. I always don't get this name correctly, and Gustav, yeah, researcher. He has written an article and said, we are doing very well. We are doing very well. We need just to continue to build the basics, and then we continue to do our best. So we from that meeting, and we are saying, let's not stop and think that our children are performing bad in Sesotho, in Setswana, and everything. We need to invest in those particular languages. I don't have the whole day, Comrade Secretary, because I would present to you what happened since 2005. When countries decided, after a resolution by the UNESCO was taken, please countries, stop teaching your children in foreign languages. Stop it. Countries that has got 136 dialects and languages, more than us, we have got only 17 in this country. 11 or 9 are recognized as official languages, but we have got more than 17. And I speak all of them, all of them. None of them I don't speak. Whether it's in a corner of a rural area that is there, I speak those dialects. Then they said, go and teach in your own language. So countries did that. They chose to say, from grade R, grade 2, and grade 1 and grade 2, we will teach in our own dialect to socialize our children in this particular science of teaching and knowledge. But we will then graduate our children to grade 3 and start teaching with our national language, which is what you have called a standardized language, but still it's not English. It's their national language, but they standardized as a national language that's bringing people together, and they start teaching with that. It took 5 years. In 5 years, those particular countries were lagging behind in science and mathematics. Those countries are now topping in the world in terms of maths and science because of the initiative that they took and never undermined their dialect, never undermined their native languages and so request I would make, basically, it is that we have been singing in Sadtu about indigenous languages, but we know that you don't believe it because you believe that English is the thing, and I'll talk about it later very quickly. But as long as you don't do that, check what has happened with Africans. Africans talk with Africans. It may not have received the 500 points that are needed in terms of the OECD requirement, but they were at about 270. Up there. Why? They speak Afrikaans at home. They socialize in Afrikaans. So they don't have to think. And when we were at school, we were talking Afrikaans. And I laughed at it because, well, it was the simplest of mathematics. Very simple. And I always do. When we were doing mathematics in Afrikaans, it was I don't know if you call it that way in Sesotho. Now, coming to English. First, you must then teach the child there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you say there are 3 corners. First, we have to deal with the 3. Now, when you come to the try, the child is lost. Because the child does not know that there's something like try which means 3. It's worse when it's 6 corners complete table, hexa. Now, what do you do? But Africans will always go to the same place. Put down. Yeah. And then you keep on saying, quad. What is quad? Now you must explain what is quad. Well, let me leave it there. The topic that I was asked to deal with very quickly is the role of the principal in our pursuit of decolonized quality public education and ensuring safe school environment. In actual fact, I have already done it. But I'll try my best because we need time for the commission. Let me congratulate Free State. I know my friend Dugwe and we are together on this one, that you are number 1. And he's here to come and copy what you are doing as a principal. So don't worry, you need to share with him what you are doing and so forth. But congratulations for the quality work that you are doing as principals, as Department of Education, and as the union continuously working together. And that is what I want to come and talk about today, collaborative professionalism, in terms of how best we need to be working together. The master facilitator was talking about teamwork and what is it that we can do to making sure that we work as a team. So it's only through working in a group that we can be able to see this collaboration that we normally talk about. So I'm just going to, so that I don't waste time, just go through that and I'll conclude with a small piece on decolonization, as a decolonized education. Now I just want to spend a little bit of time reminding ourselves of which month we find ourselves in. Just a day before today, we were just concluding the Africa Month, which basically was about the OAA and the OAU. And I am saying that we must stop looking down on ourselves and we need to pride ourselves as who we are, because we are the children of the universe, and therefore we have the right to be here. All of us, our languages, our cultures, everything about us must be there. What we need to do back at school is to engage our children in economics. Whether it's political economy, but we need to engage, because there's nothing so interesting to see 4.5-year child or 5-year child engaging me in resources and needs of the economy. Because this is a very, very clever story. So they will talk to you about water as a resource and why it's important that they have got to be careful about cholera today. They didn't hear it from anybody, they listen to the news and then they get it and tell you that don't take tap water. That's your kids, that's your grandchildren, some of you. But let's teach them. So, the African Continental Free Trade Act has to be accelerated, especially on the issue of education. Because we cannot be able to achieve sustainable development goal number 4 and the 7 targets that we're supposed to meet as Africa, as South Africa, unless we invest in education, invest in our people. In other words, invest in education support personnel, invest in the principals, and invest in the teachers so that we're able to do that. And sometimes investment does not only mean money, it means bringing people like the master facilitator here to come to school and talk to us and deal with the healing of this division that he was talking about. We can sit here and say they are not there, but we know they are there. There are check collectors in some of our schools who are there, who basically don't understand that we have been assigned this particular responsibility as part of the National Democratic Revolution to develop the human resource for our country, for our continent, and for the world. So we know you do that better. So I just wanted to remind you about that. But also let me remind you that we are in June. This is the month of the youth. And this must remind us that the struggle continues. Because when the youth stood up, and the students, and protested against the dominance of Africa and the dominance of the white race as white supremacists, and therefore protested, we lost a lot of our young people in Guguletu, we lost a lot of our young people throughout the country, particularly in Soweto and so on, who basically, I'm standing here, we are here today to say we need to honor these young people who were able to making sure that we realize our freedom and our democracy. And we must never fail them by handing over our freedom and democracy to our former oppressors. I know you are very angry with the African National Congress, but don't hand over your freedom and democracy to the DA. You will be finished. Just say no way until you come. I will be here when you have no single right. How much we are spending, 6 million now that we have already spent as a union to fight for a legislation that has been passed in the Western Cape. And the purpose of that particular legislation is very simple. It is that no principal must be appointed permanently. You'll be appointed for 5 years, and after 5 years you go. There's no renewal, there's nothing, you go. Teachers, you will have no permanent employment because you will not be appointed by government. You'll be appointed by 3 people that are nominated by the Minister of Education in that particular province, who will just come and say, you are business people, here is 3 billion. Please go and employ the teachers, and they will employ you. They will look and say, where do you belong? We are here in Paris. What type of a municipality is this? Is it generating revenue? If it is not generating enough revenue, forget about an increase. Because you can't be talking about an increase when your municipality is not generating revenue. You cannot do that. So the metros will be able to can increase the salaries. But it will not increase the salaries automatically because they will be bringing what we call Ofsted. In other words, Office of Standards, to come and assess you and say, you have got 15 learners who could not make it out of 32 learners. Therefore, you don't qualify for what they call pay, not progression. It's not. It's performance pay. You have not performed because you don't have 100% of the learners passing. So therefore, you will not get an increase because they are saying this union Sadtu is destroying education because it is even defending the people who are not producing anything because they understand education as being linear and not a complicated and a complex process. We understand education as being complex. We understand teaching as a science, a very complex, challenging, and demanding processes that you don't do it alone. You do it with the parents, You do it with the community. You do it with everybody. Hence, when a learner is not performing, it cannot therefore be a problem of the teacher alone. It's a problem of all of us who must sit and reflect and say, how do we help the teacher? If this child is impaired in terms of sight, but we are not aware, Baba God, we have not tested this child. We are not aware, and the child can learn, but the child can't write. Sometimes we laugh at those who can read millions. Like our former president. We love them. It is not because they're not intelligent. They are highly, highly intelligent. But they have a particular problem of recognizing numbers, especially if the numbers are big. So, you are going to fail this kid because the kid is not able to see the numbers properly, but the kid can speak. And then you ask yourself, why is this child always participating, but when they write, they are not making it? So say never. And I can stand here and tell you that if we lose that case, there will be no union in the Western Cape. There will be no union in the next province the DA win. Because it was meant for Sadtu. It was not meant for anything. When they failed to get education declared as essential services at the CCMA, they went to pass that particular act so that they deal with you. So say never, you always say that anyway. So I'm standing here as a witness, and I'll come here and give you a hug when you are out of employment. Not represent you, give you a hug, because I shall have told you that don't hand over your freedom and your democracy to the people who are representing capital, the people who are representing those who want to oppress you and continue to be oppressing you, and you then said, no, I'm going there, I'm going to do that. So this month reminds us. Just yesterday we celebrated our 44th anniversary. Very, very important and a very critical role in the liberation of our people, and therefore we continue to have responsibility as principals in the school to continuously work with the teachers we have assigned as principals to deal with courses, not deal with them in the wrong way, and developing them politically and making sure that indeed they can realize their potential in those particular schools. But they are celebrating, and we want to share in that particular celebration. How many? I'm saying white parties. 2. But how many are blacks? Good. That's a message. When you keep on fragmenting yourself, when you keep on scratching your throat, all of you, they consolidate, they know their business, they know what they're defending. They are defending white privilege, they are defending their wealth that they stole from us, and they are defending it. And therefore, that's why they cannot afford to be divided. They represent 2 trends. The Freedom Front Plus represent a right-wing conservative, and the DA represent the liberals, so that they are able to accommodate some of you in there, which the Freedom Front will not allow you to be there, because the criteria is simple. You must be speaking Afrikaans, you must be either a colored or an Afrikaner. This one, they accommodate that. So it's a trend they are representing, and they don't apologize about it. So that is the problem that we need to be facing. So therefore I'm saying we cannot leave this particular seminar as principles without criticizing our pedagogy. By criticizing our pedagogy, we need to be able to address its weaknesses. Because its weaknesses is failure to create individuals who will understand that colonialism and apartheid was a crime against humanity. So anyone that we have created and we have taught and then says, colonialism brought you happiness. They brought you machines. You did not have the machines. We had the best equipments. And because culture changes, and culture continues to be changing, we have a continent that is bestowed with mineral resources, the richness in the world, and we can make it. But if our curriculum and our pedagogy, we do not criticize and make sure that we are able to, again, create a new person in South Africa who will then say, I love my people, I love my country, and I am going to stay away from corruption, and we do this thing. And we have that responsibility. So I'm also imploring upon you as principal that we must leave this seminar with more determination, obviously, to systematically reflect on the social pedagogy. And I'm saying social pedagogy because, as I was saying, the child is not only educated by the teacher. The teacher is an individual. A parent is an individual. But the child is educated by environment. The child is educated by the media. The child is educated by a social group and many influencers around this particular child who has to grow. And therefore, our pedagogy, we need to reflect on that so that we are able to create what? The youth and adults who must see themselves as defenders of the revolution and social activists. So I'm here also to implore on you to recognize that you have also entered the third decade of your existence, and with a very simple strategic challenge. One, accelerate the human resource development of the NDR as an assignment that is given to us. But clearly is that I leave you with a question. Do we all understand this revolutionary task assigned to us by our desire, one, to develop and improve our education system? Well, I'm talking to the converted because in the Free State, you work together to improve that on a daily basis. But I want to leave you with that. But I also want to ask a question. Do we understand that slowly the centrality of the decolonized education in the growth and development of our society is being foregrounded above all other variables? Because it is very important to understand that we may have many, many other intersectionalities that we are dealing with, but education has now become the center of what we have got to do. But do we see the value of education in a dialect relationship with the socio-economic mechanism, which depends on and ahead of which it moves? Do we understand and reconcile that particular dialect relationship? I can talk about the fact that we need the economy to grow so that the economy can change, but the economy can't change everything itself. Because there's that particular interaction between education and the economy so that we're able to change the environment and the conditions. So you need this particular education. Is it has entered that particular third decade of existence with those particular strategic challenges and strategic focus that we need to be able to do that. So as we reflect, my comrade, let's understand that education and economic development are definitely, constantly interacting and fully shaping themselves. Because there's nothing like being poisonous if you don't understand that we are supposed to change. There must always be a transition. There must always be transformation. There must always be a movement. And that's what dialectic materialism teaches all about, that we can't be stagnant. We have got to make sure that we have a continuous movement and a continuous change. So when we said we want to contribute in building socialism in our country, we understood that it can only be achieved with conscience. So I want to implore you as principals that we cannot stop conscientizing ourselves, conscientizing our teams, conscientizing people, and improve our education. Because the defects of colonial apartheid have to be removed, comrades, if we are to build a new person. If we have to create this new human being, we cannot achieve what we want to achieve. So we need to remove this mental slavery as part of our decolonization of the curriculum. Because we need to continuously deal with it, because as Chair taught us, is that society is a school. So we need social pedagogy that needs to address all these particular things. But I'm saying that as we leave this particular seminar, we go back to our schools as principal, we need to also have another reflection to find ways to decelerate the trend we have seen today of our generation, which did not have to face the sacrifices and hardship, poverty, discrimination, and other apartheid capitalist evils in becoming passive in the face of criticism. You know, comrades, the day you are afraid of wearing the t-shirts of Sadtu and the t-shirts of the ANC, it means we did not develop you well. Because you can't cocoon yourself when you are facing criticism and then you become passive. You know where you come from. You know who you are. And you know why we are here and why we have got enemies. So let me then quote Chair. He said, under these circumstances, we need a great dose of humanism, a great dose of a sense of justice, and truth to avoid falling for a dogmatic extremism, cold scholasticism, and divorce ourselves from the masses. Because the moment you cocoon, you define yourself alone. You run away from the problems of the masses, and you say, TV. You'll break yourself, you are old. Formed into deeds, into actions that set an example into mobilization. He further said, let me say, at the risk of sounding ridiculous, that a true revolutionary is guided by deep feelings of love, that it's impossible to think of an authentic revolutionary without this quality. So as we define our teams in the level of the school, we are reminded of the Freedom Charter. Teach our children to love their people. Teach our youth to love their country. Teach them to die for their country. Without that, there's no basis for education because you cannot learn. It is therefore Sadtu's conviction that as we meet here to engage and acknowledge our excellent work at a time when the exigencies of national cohesion, genuine democratization as well as non-racialization and economic freedom of our society are receiving the impetus and attention as key components of our NDR. So as we engage with you and appreciate you, we are reminded of what Lenin said. And I quote, give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. He tellingly said that education is a weapon whose effects depend on who holds it in his hands and at whom it is aimed. This weapon is in your hands today as the CEO of your school. This weapon is in your hands today as the district officials, as the officials in the Department of Education. You have this potent weapon in your own hands that you have got to use to ensure you conscientize, you produce a new human being, a new person who will be self-standing, very critical, and never be afraid when he's been criticized. So we are also saying today we are witnesses of your professional work and leadership, and with that understanding that the seed you have sown will never be uprooted and that the seed will continue to grow and blossom. May I therefore remind you that in dialectical terms the seed is sown, it changes into stem and changes into either more grains or fruits And that's what we see in your work. That's the negation of the negation. It is a thesis and an antithesis and into a synthesis that we see the work of our teachers, our principal, that you continue to do. We see this change in behavior in our children when they are brought to us from that early age. We are able to conscientize them, change them, and make them to move and transform themselves into these activists in their lives. So don't forget that. It is in this regard, therefore, that we preoccupy ourselves as revolutionary professionals with the basic material of our work being the youth, in which we place our hopes and preparing it to take the batons from our hands. We fully understand that the architects of colonialism and apartheid used education as a weapon to advance white supremacy and degrade our culture. We have to use education as a weapon to fight against ignorance, self-hate, racism, tribalism, and all the ills that impeded our advancements and growth as a country. So we look at you and see soldiers armed with knowledge, skills, and wisdom. We see you as the candles that light the others and lose nothing of their own. Because in you we see social justice activists, just like Utatu Mandela. In you we are able to understand and interpret the world, just like Ubaba Mandela said, that this is what education is, the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So why can't we change our country? Why can't we change our children, our adults, so that we are able to have a development that can be sustainable, inclusive in our country? We see that in you. So we truly believe that achievement of greater social justice is closely dependent on equitable access by all sections of the population to quality education. He once tellingly observed that there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. So let me say today that there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children and their teachers when we face violence in our schools. When parents that are supposed to be supporting us in the principle, does this anger come from? And the only thing sometimes, Babu Kate, I am saying money is the source of all evil. If I has gone, but not Angie, Mary, she's gone. I worked with Mary when she was first appointed as MEC for education. That I was given a very difficult task by my union. It was to identify all the specters that were forcing women to sleep with them in the offices of the inspectors. I was forced to go and identify all of them who were selling post to men, because women either pay money or in kind. And we identified them. And we wiped them out. They could not be integrated in the new system. They were given a nice, what do you call that thing that we signed? That thing, severance package, to go and rest at home. And I don't sympathize with them. Even when they died, I will not attend their funerals. If you do that, know that even if you are my best friend or my best revolutionary, you have lost the title the day you sell the post. You have lost that respect from me and our union the day you ask a woman to accept a post only if he sleeps with you in that particular table of the office. The day you do that, you must forget, we will represent you because the LRA says we must represent you. But you don't belong to our union. Our union don't belong to thieves. Our union don't belong to rapists. Our union don't belong to people who really exploit the poor of the poorest, who are looking for a job, and you say, sleep with me. That can't be love. That can't be caring. That can't be revolutionary. Because I've just told you what Chair said about a revolutionary. If you lack that sense, that quality of love for your people, you cannot therefore define yourself as that. You may be the chairperson, you may be the secretary of a branch or whatever, but know very well that you don't have a space in Sadtu. You don't belong to us. Don't do it, because you lose a friend in me. So let me talk about what the master facilitator was trying to say to us. So, as we are here, so dealing with the creation of a learning nation, from our perspective as Sadtu in terms of our pillar number 2, know that, of course, I'm not an orator. I want to finish quickly. That let me talk about collaborative professionalism very quickly, which you continuously display as a very important thing. For me, therefore, the question is, it's no longer about whether teachers should collaborate, honestly. We have seen it during COVID, that we have learned a lot from the collaboration of our teachers and our principal. There was a time we did not know what to do, and we relied on our collective leadership in the schools to then say, what is it that we can do better? And principals were vulnerable. Our district office were vulnerable. But because of us together in this particular team and collaboratively so, we were able to come up with the non-negotiables that we agreed these are going to be done. They didn't come because one was working there in silo and the other one was working there. We collaboratively sat down and dealt with those particular issues. And we know that you can leverage on that moving forward to improve the quality of education in our school, because you have done it very much better than some of us at the national level or in other offices, but you have done it. So for me, it is that the profession can serve people effectively if its members do share and exchange knowledge about their expertise or about the student they have in common. So there is this element of competition, which is not part of the features of collaborative professionalism. We must arrive at a time when a good school will exchange with a school that is struggling. We must arrive at a time when we will have this HOD who is heading mathematics in this school go and meet with the other HOD every Wednesday to analyze exactly what could be the problem in mathematics, in science, in language, in everything, and we do that. And we want that the department must recognize that as part of our development. That these stringent, what do you call professional collaboration, because professional collaboration differs from a professional collaborative professionalism. It's very prescriptive. It's very linear. You are told what to do, and we don't want to be told what to do. And we are told by the timetable you give us. The timetable requires the HOD in mathematics to be there for life in there, whereas we need that HOD to be in the district, not employed in the district, but to be knowing that on Tuesday, these are the HODs that are meeting, and therefore they are going to develop their professional practice, and they are working there. So we need that person to be released at 11 o'clock, to be there. So you can't be burdening the principal at the school to be looking for that person. It must be integrated in our system so we are able to develop each other moving forward. So these are some of the things that we think in terms of collaborative professionalism is sharing the knowledge, the expertise that we have, all of us instead of compete. I know you want to be number one as a principal of your school. I know that. But in a pool of poverty, your number one really does not make any difference when we'll be looking at poverty. the indicator will be like, even that particular school that is number 1, the children in that particular school may not even be able to enjoy life because we have not dealt with the social ills. Because that other school has dropped out 50 children who are now becoming a problem to the same other kid. So we need to work together to address those issues. But not all kinds of collaboration are desirable or effective, and not all are appropriate for the people who practice it or for the task at hand. So collaborative professionalism is about how people collaborate more professional, and also how they work as a profession in a more collaborative way. So therefore the question is, maybe the task on whether there is a difference between the two, and I have said the difference is there by our teachers, by yourselves, instead of being told what is it that you must do. So we need to be able to exercise that. We need to be able to share, getting neither too close members of the labor, work rather than merely talk and reflect together. So today we celebrate you as Free State for showing how you can work collaboratively in your own areas. It is therefore collaborative professionalism we see our revolutionary teachers using research to gather evidence to inform their techniques and methods of teaching which are collaborative. We have no doubt that you engage together with your learners in a rigorous planning, deep and sometimes demanding dialogue, candid but constructive feedback, and continuous collaborative inquiry. For you to achieve these outstanding results in your schools as Free State and many other provinces, employer, we pride ourselves by your dedication, commitment, and resilience. So one area of the code of conduct of Sadtu is at as we see you today, where you, our members, actively care for and have solidarity with each other as fellow professionals, and you pursue your challenging work together. So we believe that the joint work of collaborative professionalism is embedded in the culture and the life of your school. So our pillar of 2030 envisage our principals and teachers where they collaborate professionally in ways that are responsive to and inclusive of the cultures of their students, themselves, the community, and society as a whole. So our pillar calls for educators to have more independence from top-down bureaucratic authority, including yourself. So Sadtu challenges you as principal to create that environment where there is less independence from each other, and give our teachers authority to develop their professional capital. As a professional union, our union is celebrating your collective achievement, recommit itself to empower you through our institute with the belief that together we can make a difference to the learners we teach. No matter what we want to do, we can only collaborate. So our vision employs on you all to develop a culture based on collective inquiry as a profession. We believe that in our collegiality, our professional capital relies on how we seek evidence and use such to improve our collaborative professionalism. So it's about time, therefore, that as comrades, we take our collective responsibility in changing our curriculum to develop our children into creative, critical, and self-standing individuals who will use problem-solving skills to create jobs for themselves. So I want to leave you with what we have got to do in order for us to develop those particular qualities and features in the new child, in the new youth, in the new adult who will love the country. As part of us developing our collaborative professionalism with more vigor and revolutionary determination. So let's look at if we cannot be able to really develop an internal need of our children, of our youth, to be social actors by identifying the following in them: the sensitivity for human beings' problems, love for their studies, immodest simplicity, solidarity, non-conformity with things badly made, an uncompromising approach to injustice and conventionalities. So collectivism thoughts and action that are geared towards the interest of the collective that you always say, ubuntu botho. So we need to arouse in our youth the internal need for direct social action. In this, we will then be using our pedagogy as our own protest. If we use our pedagogy as our own protest against gender-based violence, against the violence in our schools, and we use this particular pedagogy of ours as a protest against continuous mental slavery and continuously undermining ourselves and not realizing that we are all the children of the universe, and therefore we are all equal, and continuously undermining ourselves. We need to develop that culture using this particular thing. So that intersectionalities of disabilities, of sex, of gender, these are the things we deal with. We need to show love for our learners who are living with disabilities. We need to make sure that they find space in making them able to receive education. We need to deal with these particular social ills as a collective, collaborating, all of us, to make sure that we are able to defeat all these particular things. If we do that, we'll then create this particular new person who is sensitive, who is willing to show love, who is not going to conform, and they say, "Bon, bana ba ha ba tla nya metsi, ha o sa ba tlo utswa." We are always told like that it's legime. That wena malole, o batla o batla o utswa mona, o tla nya metsi, o tla shwantse o le modidi. And it's fine, because you can't just conform to something that is badly made. It is not yours, it's not you. You have to continue to do your best and do your work. So, when I want to deal with decolonize, I think I don't want to continue further. I want to just quickly show the slides about decolonization, and then I leave it there if it is possible for you to deal with that, so that very briefly we can just see it and the slides can be shared, right? And we deal with that. But comrades, for us to sustain our conviction, even under temptations of bribery and fraud and corruption, it is only when we continuously conscientize ourselves that we have got an assignment, and the assignment is our children. And those children, we must develop them, we must empower them, we must engage them, we must produce in them these leaders who will always be critical, be self-criticizing, and they will also be able to criticize us. So in actual fact, that is the legacy of colonialism. Slide number 2. I think that is what Jose Marti is talking about, what you are doing today. It's about the future, it's about the life, it's about our pedagogy, it's about the importance of education. Slide number 3. So, what Nkungiwa Tiongo is telling us today, as we face these trends, is simple to say, searching for a liberating, we need to search that earnestly, honestly, and with vigor. Let's search deep down in ourselves, because as we when the start of the feast must fall and decolonization of the curriculum, and we as long time ago around this issue to say we want to decolonize our education, and therefore we are saying apartheid will be stopping. Always reminding. Remember one thing about colonialism. One, it defined opportunities. But it did define the opportunities based on color, gender, sex. But critically look at yourself. It defined your opportunities that you will not receive quality education, that you will not receive an education that will enable you to innovate, to create. but you'll always depend, because it was one of the fundamental features of colonialism to create dependency. No, so I'm not worried. Mostly, hanzi kukla batho ba re kampane wa khutlela Egepeta. Ba tjho jwalo, ba re Moses o na tlohela Joshua. Me Joshua ba re nna Egepeta ke sa khutlela, ba re re ilo shwa monna. Na re kampane ra khutlela Egepeta. Ho ne ho le monate la ha ne le re ne le makgoba. But at least ne re ka se shwe mona tlhaheng ne re tsamayang ho yona. Ha ke batlo ba bitsa makwala. Ke thuto e ba filweng yona hore ha o le thata wa tjhetjha. Ba re makwala a tjhetjhe a re ska e bina. Ha re tlohele mo. The second thing that colonialism and apartheid colonialism did was to designate the value. So you don't have opportunities to progress to science. You don't have an opportunity to progress to a high cognitive level of thinking. So it has to be combined with this. How do we design your value? What is the value of a black person? If you had value, they would not take you as a slave and cross the oceans, because your life is valueless. When they were lynching people in Zimbabwe, lynching our people here, lynching our people in Namibia, and so forth, they were doing so because they have said their life is valueless. They have no value. We used to have an office in the money hold. So then there is a taxi that hit this particular kid, and the taxi is a hit and run. So I rush and stop the taxi, that you can't hit a kid. Very phone la mapolisa money stationing muhlolo. Anna, the first thing you are asked, what is the race of that child? What is the race of that child? Does it matter? It matters. It matters because the resources that must be unlocked are always defined in terms of that race. If you say that kid is black, you are likely to sit there for 4 hours with no ambulance, no police coming. If you say it's white, the likelihood is that you are going to see the minister of police coming there and say, I am here to render my condolences to the families. Yeah. How many African children died last week? How many died last week, hit and run? I don't blame the minister of police. It's you as teachers. Halamu conscientize that the person must see themselves as value, have value, their lives have value, that they also are human beings of equal stage. Engwe hape ba tlo qeta yo wena go tla fe le engwe hape a ke yona ntatona o reng don't worry about the oppressed, worry about the oppressed. When you want to win anything, millions after millions of years, when you have done your work, like Lenin has said at the beginning, that give me a 4-year-old child, and after I shall have sown the seed, nobody can uproot it, but it depends on in whose hands is that particular potent weapon, being education, and for what purpose. It depends on that. If you have sown the seed, for this learner to be self-critical, to know their people and love their people, they will never succumb. They will face the truth and be able to stand. So he says, the most dangerous thing here we must be worried is the oppressed's mind. If you can't decolonize it, it will become a potent weapon for ignorance, a potent weapon for disillusionment, a potent weapon for ostracization, and a potent weapon for blaming on each and everything. Utsu how saying, hauna metsi or onali metsi, but you must blame. The child is asking a simple question. Mama, nekikupa metsi. Ubani ukwatisise kintate? Maabani, ulibeti. Hurungwana ukupa metsi. Hi! Oh, you know what? One thing now, hey. Skati na kingwa. Give the child the water. Rabuwa bona na lentata akukla msebeti. Lwena ntata. Skara routine ne mona Sadtu. Oh, fukela pe. Habana ba obona, you are a lion. Bono kwatiste ke na che ska yetsa ntwe. Ke mathata ntwe. Ke ntwe e leng ka mona. Re tshwantse re ntse. Ke ra in simple language, decolonization means reinstating, recreating our values, our dignity, our indigenous languages, our culture, in order for us to access science, innovation, and cognitive level that is required for us to have a sustainable, inclusive economy in a developmental state in South Africa. There's nothing we can do without understanding that interaction that is constantly happening between the economy and the education. So if you want to see we say, what is the mirror of this particular country in terms of economy? Go and look at education. Then when you see an economy that is stagnant, that is not growing, we must go and say, Minister, please can you put more money on research on this particular area? Put more money on the development of our languages on this particular area, because we can see we're producing palladium, we're producing chrome, we're producing platinum, we're producing radium, we're producing all these particular minerals that we're bestowed with, but we are still ordering the solar batteries. We're still ordering the solar panels. We're still ordering the hangers. I like it very much. One day you must quote me. I like to be quoted when I'm dead. Quote me about this hanger of hanging a jacket that you continue to buy it from China. Honestly, Tate Kgabi, re hloleha lo etsa hangara ya o hanga jacket. Re emetse China e re etsetse yo. Me re dula mona re qabana. Bana beso le siqabaneng. Hobana iyo ntwe re qabantshang. Ntwe re kopantsha mona ke o rata naha ya rona. Ntwe ne re kopantsha mona ke hore re rute ngwana, re moahe and build our own economy. So ha hona ntwe re qabantshang mona. Re ka ba re qabana hore Henneken or Amstel ne isa fisi maabane is fine. We will give you eyes to put that Henneken of yours there. So we can't be fighting about it. Another one. I don't think there is another one. I think that is the end. I'm told it's conclusion. Matla Aruna. Forward, Free State, forward.
Ake re emeng ka maoto re shapeleng GS matsoho. Re a leboha. Re a leboha haholo.
Sifunu no bala no contented na sifunu no ba.
Thank you. Thank you. Askis ha ke tlo dumela Ruby. Nako hona jwale is almost 5:10. Comrade Dan, can you quickly come and outline the commissions, please? We have to break for commissions now, so I'm not going to allow you to sing. Comrade Tabe, please come and outline the commissions.
Sifunu no bala no kontente tina sipetu no bala sipetu no bala no kontente tina sipetu no ba
Amanda. No, thank you very much, comrades. Yeah, no, we are energized, I can see. Comrades, before we go to the next item of the program, of which is the last, let me also let us recognize the presence of Ntate Monchu. Ntate Monchu is the acting DDG for curriculum in Free State. The principal is Mpulaya and Ntate Monchu. But education Free State Hina representatives. Can you greet comrades in that demonstration? Can you stand and greet the comrades so that they see you? This is our acting DDG. Comrades, on the very same note, we're getting into the last item, of which this is a very much important exercise. I understand we are tired. We woke up very early this morning to come to this place. And it is allocated 2 hours, but because comrades is very much important, we can just spend 1 and 1.5 hours. So if we can run up until 6 o'clock to ensure that we do justice to commissions, it's very much important, comrades. We need to give inputs and make decisions out of this forum. Comrades, the commissions are as follows. We only have 3 commissions. Commission 1, the presentation or the presenter in that commission will be Dr. Moloi. It will be led by Dr. Moloi, that is on motivation of schools personnel and school leadership. And the commission 1 will be how to comrades register agating. The corridor on the left, the first door, you will find the venue for this commission 1. And comrades, the commissions are shared in your principals group. So those who are not in that group, please can we ensure that we get the allocation of commissions, so that we ensure that everyone is allocated in terms of commissions where you're going to participate. Commission 2 is going to deal with the curriculum coverage and management and inculcating the culture of reading. That will be led by Ntate Monchu, the acting DDG. Will be in this hall, will remain in here. That is the majority of the principals will be in here, according to that allocation of commission. The last commission, comrades, on the next door, commission 1, commission 3, that will be led by Comrade Chairperson, Comrade Khape. That will be on learner discipline, violence, gangsterism, drug abuse, pregnancy, and so on. So that is that, comrades. Can we quickly go to our respective commissions? By the way, comrades, the issue of rooming will be communicated to you during the proceedings of the commissions, comrades. Thank you very much. Let's ensure that we are done at 6 o'clock, comrades, 18 hours. Thank you. Comrades, Mona register again, they are preparing for dinner, come on. So after our commissions, so we'll go straight for dinner and until we meet tomorrow. So let's ensure that we get to, or we get the dinner there. It will be served in here, not at the dining hall as they served lunch.